I know you see him as your president. You see him as your president. But to me, he's my best friend. Remember when you stole Mosai's Seboa's goat? You grew, but they did not what? Grow with you. Remember, when you become a Christian, you are subject to a fixed law that will progress, elevate, and add to you every day of your life. The path of the just shines brighter and brighter, and to a perfect day. The longer they live, the brighter they what? They shine. The glory of the latter church shall be greater than the glory of the former. Your yesterday is never going to be better than today, and your tomorrow is going to be better than yesterday. You see? Because you live that kind of life, some of you, by the sheer grace and mercies of God, you are going to be and have been elevated in rank every day of your life. That elevation comes with a responsibility and an accountability to the people that you are lead, or you lead, and you have been set over. One, to manage their affairs as you lead and influence them, because as a leader, you are not called to manage people. You're called to manage situations. You're not called to manage people. You're called to lead people. And the most important ingredient of leadership is influence. To invite them by love and your craft, your creativity, your commitment, your merits, your behavior, to attract them to love, to serve you and do the things you do. That's leadership. When circumstances happen in an organization or institution, your work is to manage those situations. But you are not called to manage people. You can't. Even God is struggling with some. Now, as you grow in the place of being that leader, you will achieve so much. And it's important in whatever you achieve to stay what? Humble. But in the wisdom to stay humble also, I charge the wisdom to know how to draw the boundaries around those who don't appreciate and recognize your elevations. Because there are people who will never see those elevations in your life. Perhaps you grew up with them, in your home village in Tinda or Mienga, right? You were simply Emmanuel, the guy who used to steal sugarcane. You were simply Ronnie, the fellow who used to, chase people's goats to eat them. That's what they have. Right? Then you get born again, you change, you're transformed, right? You grow up the ranks, you become a pastor like me, all these men and women of God who are here today. You become an influence in your own society, and now you owe the right and privilege of also influencing others to be like you or even better versions of yourself. Now, the trouble comes that Obi, who knew as a God thief, comes to see you at your workplace. He does not recognize your elevation. He does not recognize your transformation. He does not recognize your maturations. He does not recognize your growth. And he wants to bring the conversation of the goat you stole. Now that's a bit understandable if you can do it in private. If it's in a private conversation, that can slide, right? But at the point one day, and I always charge Christians this, that if you're not careful to know how to draw boundaries to those people who do not recognize or appreciate your elevations or promotions in life, one day at the point where God wants to expose you, at the point where God wants to put you on a pedestal, at that most important point in your life when God wants to display his wonder on your life over the world, that's the point they can turn up and denigrate, disregard, even disqualify you before the people who venerate you. Can we have a speech? You are the president of Uganda. Congratulations. President of so-and-so. Congratulations. Can we now have a speech from his old friend? And he comes up. So, I know everybody calls you Excellency. But to me, you're simply Pope. I know you see him as your president. You see him as your president. But to me, he's my best friend. Pope. Remember when you stole Mzee Sebowa's goat? You grew, but they did not what? Grow with you. Remember when you stole Mzee Sebowa's goat? Then perhaps you also have a sibling who is not yet used to your glory. He also comes up. For you, you say it goat. He used to wet the bed. They are talking about the fountain of honor, the president of a nation. They no longer know that this is his or her excellence. And if that happens, it's your fault. It's not theirs. Because you did not bear the wisdom to know how to put some little boundaries between you and some of the people who don't appreciate who you are or have become. It's not pride. And you know, when you give them space, they will say, you arrived, eh? So you no longer want to talk to us. You're a big man now, eh? You don't even answer our calls, eh? And in all sincerity, if they examined your heart, you are still communicating even with the poorest people in the world. But at the expense, when you get to the place where your relationship comes at the expense of disqualifying you before the people God has elevated you over, then you must bear the wisdom and common sense to know how to count certain losses and allow that I think this relationship is not going to continue. I'm not saying call me apostle. I'm not saying call me your excellency. I'm not saying what. I'm only saying respect the office. If you can't respect me, respect the office. Are you following what I'm saying? Respect the what? Yes, he's your OB. But when he comes to the bank, he has not come to see his OB. He has come to see the MD. Are you following what I'm saying? Now they come and sit at the reception, and they should expect that there's a protocol in seeing you. Then they come and they inform you, oh, your best friend is outside. Your old friend, the one you used to eat bananas with. Yes, I want to see him. But I am in the middle of an appraisal. I'm with the group executive leadership. They're appraising me against my work. And in these next 45 or 15 minutes, either I can lose this MD job or not lose it. So, my best friend has to what? Wait. Because unlike the rest who book appointments, this best friend thinks that it's his right. It's no longer a privilege to access you. It's his right. So he has to sit outside, right? Then he sits for 45 minutes and walks out. When he walks out, you come out running to see your friend. They tell you, he left. You call him. He says, you're so proud. Even switches off because he's so annoyed with you. No, they get mad with us, by the way. They get so annoyed. Huh? How can I come? So we have to book appointments and make lines. Now, and then now they have to suffer you to now try to barge into their manipulations, and then you have now to explain yourself to people who are already made up to misunderstand you because they only want to relate to what they can control. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not friendship. That's Jezebel, the spirit. Are you hearing me? When you get to that level and they do that, you say, okay, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Hey, you start distancing slowly. They send text messages, you become busy. But on funerals, you go. When they have a need, you help them, but from afar, until they realize that these boundaries are very clear. Either they will mature and meet you where you are so you don't stumble those who you're leading, or they will disconnect and find their own